Hey everybody, it's Nate here with Goalie. If you don't already know us, our mission is to build tech tools for families with neurodiverse children. A lot of our families depend on Medicaid waivers to get the help and services that they need. This video is part of a series where we research these programs state by state and explain them to you jargon-free. Our goal is to help families like yours navigate this difficult process and get the help and coverage that you need. Hey everybody, it is Nate here with Goalie. If you couldn't tell by my croc wrestling and my sunglasses, in our state-by-state Medicare waiver guide, we're going to be talking about the Sunshine State, the state of Florida. So, first of all, where am I right now? Currently, I'm on Goalie's forum webpage. To get here so you can follow along and check out our forum later, you're going to go to forum.goalie.co, and you'll see our newly redesigned forum page. On this website, we essentially talk about loads of different topics, whether it's goalie tips, some general parenting advice, some tech support for goalies, success stories, a whole list of things. But today, we're going to be talking about our government waiver section, and specifically the waivers of the state of Florida. Once you click on Florida, you'll see a post and a topic labeled Florida Medicaid Guide. You're just going to click on that. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about one waiver in the state of Florida. The waiver is called the Developmental Disabilities and Individual Budgeting Waiver. It's also known as iBudget. So, who can apply for this waiver? Based on circumstance and diagnosis, any child or adult who's over the age of 3 and diagnosed with either an intellectual or developmental disability, which includes a diagnosis of autism, is eligible to apply. In addition, the state of Florida requires that individuals need and seek an intermediate level of care. What this essentially means is that the applicant needs some support or some supervision to get through their everyday routine. It does not mean that you need a hospital level of care where there's a constant doctor or medical equipment by your side, nor do you need a full-time nurse by your bedside at all times. You just need some support, some supervision to get through your general day. This is mainly the population that Goalie serves and what the Goalie community is made up of. So this is why we're suggesting applying for this individual waiver. Based on income, what are the income requirements? So income eligibility is based entirely on child's income, not parental income. So since unless your child is making tons and tons and tons of money, which I highly doubt, you should be able to qualify for this waiver based on an income perspective. What do I get if I get qualified? So there's a whole list of services and we list them out right here. Feel free to check them out on our forum later or read along on this video. You can pause it right now and just read the whole list. But essentially, Florida lists a long amount of services that are provided and covered, and they're listed on our forum. How do I apply? This is where it starts to get tricky. We did a lot of research for all of these guides and specifically into the state of Florida. There is virtually no information on how to do this on their website. The best thing we can advocate and tell you to do is to call the Florida Agency for Persons with Disabilities, and they will have some information. They're quite hard to reach. And even if you do call them and you find a way to apply, which is quite difficult, it should just be said now. We'll go over this a little bit later in what does Goalie think of the state of Florida and our Goalie waiver scorecard, but it takes a super long time to get services. The waiver supports about 40,000 people. Currently, there's about a 20 to 25,000 person waiting list. That's a waiting list about half the size of the overall people that are on the waiver, which is just atrocious. So what does the Goalie team think about the state of Florida and Florida Medicaid waivers? So long story short, Florida is horrible. Their Medicare waiver programs are quite bad. Not only is it incredibly difficult to find any information on their website, but also the waiting list is about 7 years because of the amount of people that are currently backlogged trying to get support and get coverage under the waiver. If you call the Florida Agency for Persons with Disabilities, you can avoid some of the headache of trying to navigate this system, but it really, really, really is difficult to try to find that information. They also have confusing classification systems, trying to expedite some cases. Again, this is not something that I would be super optimistic about, but maybe bring it up when you're talking to somebody from the Agency of Persons with Disabilities. Let's go on our Goalie waiver scorecard. Based on their website clarity and ease of navigation, this one seems crystal clear. We gave it a 0. We couldn't even find enough information to give you a detailed list, which is what we're trying to do for all of these videos. It was really, really, really hard to find anything online, and so that is a flat out 0. In terms of access and requirements and qualification, again, a pretty easy 0. A 7-year waitlist is just atrocious. It's embarrassing, it's bad, and it is it's failing the community who needs this support and needs these waivers. It's about as clear of a 0 as I think I can give. In terms of healthcare actual coverage, so we give that a 2 because there are some services listed above. This score is getting heavily dragged down by the fact that no one's even able to get coverage because there's such a long waiting list and such a backlog of people. But there are some services covered by Florida, and if you can find a way to wait for 7 years on this coverage list, you will get access to that list of resources that we listed above. So we're trying to be a helpful guide state by state, and we understand that this guide isn't entirely helpful for the state of Florida. So we want to link to some other places and some other resources that can give you some of that information. So if you go on our forum page, all of these are hyperlinks, so you can just click on them and it'll take you right there. But Florida Navigator is the first one, and it's essentially a website that kind of helps you explore the various state programs and agencies that you can retrieve service from. So it's really helpful. It's not associated directly with the Florida program, which is probably a good thing in this case. There's also a brochure linked here that provides information on iBudget and some phone numbers to call county by county. This might be a little bit more helpful because they can give you specific information about your county and maybe some other ways around this 25,000 person waiting list. Again, there's Family Networks on Disabilities, which does some parent training, information sharing, and support. Really helpful. And then the ARC of Florida can help with a bunch of things related to advocacy, employment, and education. Additionally, this is the phone number for the agency that we referenced earlier, the Florida Agency for Persons with Disabilities. Please call them. They should be able to answer a lot of your questions and help you through this difficult process. Again, I'm sorry, I wish I had better news to report on the state of Florida, but unfortunately, as you can see from our Goalie waiver scorecard, they are failing. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you found this video helpful.
If you've gone through this process yourself and can add any color to our research, please share your experience in our forum. Your help would be greatly appreciated by families who are new to this. If you're just getting started yourself, don't worry. We're here to help. If you have any questions, ask them in our forum and we'll do our best we can to support you. And lastly, if you found this video helpful, let us know. Drop a like or leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you.